Gather round and welcome back to another edition of Todd Talks College Football. And today we're going to be discussing the group of five plus the Pac 2. We'll call it the Little Six because these guys have big aspirations of making the college football playoff. That's right, folks. The Little Six is going to come out with a bunch of teams ready to fight and make that playoff, and only one's going to end up standing at the end, and that will be the 12th seed in the college football playoff. They are so excited to get on that bus and travel to the number 5 team in the country and try to pull off a Cinderella story. There is an independent that will probably make the college football playoff, but there could be another one or so looking to fight off that group of 6, the Little Six, trying to make that college football playoff and put their stamp on it. We'll see where we go. This is going to be an exciting season, and I can't wait to get it started. So let's get started with the AAC. This is going to be the most competitive conference in the Little Six, folks. This has potentially up to 6 teams that could win this conference. We start off with the Memphis Tigers, and they are going to be a real strong contender to pull this baby out this year. We'll see if they can get to that championship game. We also have the University of Texas, San Antonio, the Roadrunners. They're starting off at Texas A&M. Could they pull an upset? Who knows? But who cares if they do or not? They'll still probably end up at 10-2, 9-3. This is going to be a good, exciting football team to watch. We've got the Tulane Green Wave in the big-time transfer from the BYU Cougars to come down there and play quarterback. We'll see if he can win the job. I think he will, and it'll be crazy down there in Tulane. We got the University of South Florida. They should have a good, tremendous year this year, moving up and getting into the mix for the championship. But we're going to leave the last one for me, my favorite team in the AAC. That is the Navy Midshipmen in the Hilliard, Ohio hometown boy. Blake Horvath, that's right. The quarterback at the Midshipmen had a year like very few have ever had last year in the Naval Academy, and I am so excited. They got a great team coming back, and this is going to be my pick to win the AAC. They got a schedule that can get them undefeated up into the Notre Dame game. Then they play Memphis and USF before they finish off with Army. This is going to be a tremendous opportunity for them to go 11-1 this year. Maybe even beat Notre Dame. Who knows where it can go? But I love Blake Horvath. He's in my Heisman watch list. Keep an eye on him. The AAC is going to be tremendously exciting, and I can't wait to watch some of these football games. Let's move out to the Mountain West, and this is normally controlled by the Boise State Broncos. But this year, folks, it could get a little bit more competitive out there with 2 potential players coming up to try to fight for that Mountain West championship. Boise State's where we'll start. They have a real challenging non-conference road game. They're heading over to South Bend to play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and that's going to be a tough game. They do play UNLV this year at home, so that's a big advantage up on the blue turf. Let's move over to UNLV, and UNLV is going to have UCLA coming in a non-conference in there to Las Vegas, and they're going to try to show the Bruins exactly who the best team out there in the West is, and that'll be a real interesting game to watch. In Nico's first year at UCLA, see what they can do. Now, UNLV does travel to Boise State, as we mentioned, but if you've noticed, neither of those teams have to play the team in the middle, San Jose State. Yes, folks, this could be the surprise team of the conference. They do travel to Texas in the second week of the season for an opener. They'll probably catch Texas a little upset because I think they're going to lose to the Buckeyes, and then they'll beat up on the old San Jose State Spartans, but that's not going to stop them from contending. Like I said, they don't have Boise State on their schedule. They don't have UNLV on their schedule. That means they got a clear path to a potential spot in the Mountain West Championship game against the winner of that Boise State UNLV game in a potential playoff spot if their only loss comes at Texas. We'll see exactly where this conference ends up, but this Mountain West is going to be a three-headed race, and I think it probably ends up with Boise State, but it'll be exciting to see where it ends up. Let's talk about the Sun Belt Conference, folks, and this is headed up by probably the team that's going to be standing at the end, the James Madison University Dukes. They do have a challenging schedule. They got at Louisville. They're playing Conference USA leader Liberty on the road. They do have Washington State coming in. They do play Georgia Southern in their conference on their side of the bracket. This is going to be a real challenge. I think they also play Louisiana this year. Let's just take a look here. And they do, which is probably going to be the team coming out of the West. So this is going to be a fun conference to see. Can one of these teams stay within one loss so they can make their way into the college football playoff? Again, I also told you about Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns coming out of the West. They are probably the team to beat over there, and it's going to be an exciting year to be a Raging Cajun. We also have one other team, I think, Georgia Southern, that could jump up and beat James Madison and maybe get that spot. And I love they got Clay Helton. And the one thing I love about what's going on here is Clay Helton is taking his Georgia Southerners over to the Southern California in the USC Trojans. And if you remember, Clay used to be the coach at the USC Trojans. So just for, storylines, that is going to be an incredible, fun thing to see. Old Clay back in the Coliseum against his old team, the USC Trojans. So again, I think this is going to be the Duke's conference, but don't be alarmed if someone else comes rolling out of this conference. The biggest thing here is one of these teams needs to get to the end of it with just one loss, at worst two, so they even have a chance to beat out a team like Boise State or so to get to that 12th spot in the playoff. All right, let's look at Conference USA. And folks, I really think there's only one potential team that could even make enough noise to get even close to a playoff conversation out of this conference, and that's the Liberty Flames. And they really could win all their games this year with this schedule, but they do have a very interesting matchup this year with a team I just mentioned, the James Madison Dukes, and they have them at home. If they can win that game, they're on the road at Bowling Green out of the MAC. If they can pull that game out in Eddie George's first year up there with the Falcons, this team could end up going 12-0 if they can pull those games out, and they could then have a chance. We'll see if they can. This conference isn't going to be super deep, so they should have a real clear path to the championship. Just a matter of can they beat the Dukes and get the Falcons on the road, and this could be a really great year for the Flames at Liberty. All right, let's move right here in my neck of the woods, the Mid-American Conference. That's right, the MACtion, the MAC Conference. We've got a real contender coming out of this conference this year. I'm going to start with the Toledo Rockets. That's right, up in the Glass Bowl. They've got a real tough schedule, but I think they could win these games and make their way into a college football playoff potential spot. They got to start off on the road at Kentucky, folks, and Kentucky was a 9.5-point favorite the other day when I looked, and I'm taking them damn points and probably the win line. I like Toledo going into Kentucky and winning. They got to go at Washington State late in the season. They got to go at Miami of Ohio. Those are their three toughest games, and they're all on the road, and the Toledo Rockets will be ready to win those football games. They do not play Buffalo, which is my second team in the conference that could come out of this thing. They start off on the road at Minnesota, and they play Connecticut at home, and the rest of the teams are pretty much MAC teams in the middle of the conference. So they do not play Toledo. So we could see a Buffalo-Toledo matchup with two teams with probably one loss each, maybe none, in that MAC championship. Who could come battling against them? Well, the Ohio Bobcats can, but their preseason non-conference schedule is just a brutal one, folks. They got to go to Rutgers. They do get the Mountaineers in Rich Rod at home in Athens, Ohio, which I've heard is a sellout already. So it's going to be an electric atmosphere. Could they win that game? Maybe. If they do, lucky for them, they get to go to the Shoe the next week and take on the Buckeyes. So this will be a tough non-conference schedule for Ohio. They get into the conference. How many injuries will they have? Will they be able to keep up? Maybe get a position in that championship game. And last but not least, we got the Miami Redhawks of Ohio. That's right, the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. They are coming in with another really rough schedule. They got to go to Whiskey. That's right, to Wisconsin. Then they go to Rutgers the week after Ohio plays Rutgers. And then they got to go, or they actually have UNLV. As you heard, one of my favorite teams in the Mountain West coming out, they get them at home. So I don't know if Miami of Ohio or Ohio can get to the championship game in the MAC, but even if they do, they won't be able to get to the playoff. They will have too many losses against Power 4 teams. But Toledo is my choice here to make some real noise and maybe even get a spot. That 12th spot in the college football playoff. We won't waste a lot of time, folks, in the Pac-2, although I do like to watch these football teams. But I can tell you this, Oregon State, Washington State will not be making the college football playoff by any means this year in the Pac-2. All right, that concludes our Little Six review. Now, I think this is a 4-team race to get here into this college football playoff, folks, and I think it's going to come down to either the Boise State Broncos, the Navy Midshipmen, the Toledo Rockets, or James Madison University. That's right, the Dukes. I think one of those 4 teams will be the one that makes it into the playoffs. And in my playoff predictor video that's coming just around the corner, I'll tell you which one I think gets that 12th spot going into the college football playoff. Next up, we're going to talk about the independents. There's just one independent that we really need to talk about, and that's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and they need no introduction, folks. They've got the number 1 running back in the country coming in this year, in my opinion. That's Jeremiah Love. They got a defense that's just going to be swarming all over everyone, and they'll find the quarterback out of Minchie and CJ Carr, and one of these guys is going to lead this team to the college football playoffs. You know they were my number 16 in my Baker's Dozen preseason poll. So I got them highly ranked, and I don't think they're going to disappoint this year under Marcus Freeman at the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Thanks for joining us for this show. I hope you enjoy the Little Six football predictions and Notre Dame. This is going to be an exciting year. Can't wait to get it on. And remember, gather round in ALTT. See you soon.